where there's no table this time. There's no table. Oh, thank God there's not a stupid table. This is just the supply and demand for labor. That's it. That's all that's going on here. Nothing tricky, nothing fancy, right? We know things already. X marks the spot right here. I am going to pay these workers $3 an hour. And I'm going to hire 500 people. And again, this is the market, so it's not just me. There are lots and lots of people wanting jobs, lots and lots of people wanting to hire people, and this is where we wind up. So this is kind of a bit of review of supply and demand. We're not going to learn anything new. Yay. Okay, we do have some new things, but it's all stuff we've kind of hit on before. Two factors affect the demand for labor, and we saw this before. So labor, this demand for labor equals MRP, remember? And that demand for labor, so MRP, the things that are going to move that around are going to be productivity of the workers. If your workers can produce more stuff, you're going to wind up wanting to hire more of them. The other one, the and or, could be both, could be one at a time. The price of your product. So kind of the sales price of that thing you're making. So the sales price of my product. How much am I selling this thing for? And how does MRP affect the demand for labor? Haha, trick question. MRP is the demand for labor. They're the same thing. We saw that in previous activities. Why is it downsloping? So this is, again, same reasons the demand curve was downsloping 3 months ago. Diminishing marginal returns. The more you hire, the less you get. It could be substitution effect. And that is if my workers get too expensive, I can buy some robots. Or it could be income effect. I only have a certain amount of money to spend on robots or workers, whatever. Supply of labor. What determines the supply of labor is the kind of number of workers and kind of the willingness to work for a price. There you go. Why is the supply of labor curve upsloping? This is because more pay equals more incentive to work. And this is economics. It's all about incentives. So more people are going to show up to work. People will work more. We already did these equilibrium wage is $3. How many people we're going to hire? I forgot. We're going to hire 500 people. That's our equilibrium quantity for labor. Right? It was 500, right? Yes, it was. Okay. So now let's say there's a minimum wage law, and we've done this already. We did this months ago. If I raise the minimum wage to $4.50, I'm going to have a higher supply. More people are going to want these jobs. So I'm going to have 800 people want jobs, want to work. But the demand for labor is actually going to go down a bit. And this looks like we're at about 280. 280 people kind of want to hire because that's a lot of money. Okay, your boss would freak out if you got that's a 50% raise. So what will be the quantity of labor supplied? We just had that. That's 800. Quantity of labor demanded, that was 280. And then it asks how many workers would be laid off or lose their job because of this minimum wage. Oh, this is kind of an anti-minimum wage graph here. There were 500 people hired, but now we're only at 280. That means that, 220 people out of work, hitting the streets. We'll discuss why that's probably not true later. and how many workers entered the labor force. So it was 500 workers were signing up to work, but now it's 800. So 300 more workers arrived looking for jobs. So here's where we have this big difference. So the demand for labor likely doesn't look like this. It doesn't look like this. Most, and I'm going to delete some things here. It more likely is a lot more inelastic. I would be willing to bet it looks a lot more like this. Because that employer still has customers that are showing up. And if that's true, then okay, the going rate is $3. But if you raise the minimum wage to $4.50, instead of 500 workers and having that cut down to 280, we're only going to lose this many workers. Okay, so it's more like 400. We might lose 50 workers. So this is probably a little more realistic. The demand for labor is likely more inelastic up and down. So we're going to have fewer workers are going to lose their job due to a minimum wage. And which ones are going to lose their job? That's what number 13 asks. And number 13, it's really going to be those unskilled workers. So the first people to be let go are going to be the people that aren't as productive anyway. So who benefits from the minimum wage? It's usually more skilled workers. And skilled workers who get to keep their job. And then who's hurt by minimum wage? People who lost their job, unskilled people. And again, if it's lots of people, just about everybody, if this demand curve isn't as elastic. So the next bit is kind of up to you. Minimum wage, good thing or bad thing? Should we have it or not? We've kind of had this discussion before, but go again. Make it happen. Fill it in. All right. Bye.